recorded so you can watch it at a later stage or share it with somebody else in your team if you want to. I'm also going to just do a little bit of housekeeping. So if you have a look over here, in the top corner over here, you've got this the GoToMeeting screen. If you click on these two little arrows over here, that'll minimize that and give you a little more real estate to see it better. You also, in this right-hand corner, have this other little menu bar. If you click on the plus over here, that'll zoom in a little, and if you click on the minus, that'll zoom out a little, so you can just see, if you're battling to see something on the screen, you can make it bigger or smaller. And down the bottom here, if you click on this, that will get rid of the photographs of the presenters if you want a little more real estate. All right, so I'm going to start with a very brief PowerPoint presentation. And for those of you that have attended our other webinars, this may be duplication, but there are some people on today that haven't been with us before. So just bear with us for these first few slides. So who is Pro Technology? We're headquartered out of the Los Angeles area with offices, people, and partners around the country and around the world. We've become known as document automation specialists. And what does that mean? It really means we're experts in electronic forms and documents and the automation and improving the efficiency of the processes around those documents. To deliver these types of solutions, we've developed a range of our own software called JetTrac, which we're going to be showing you today. But we also work with best-of-breed technologies like Adobe, if necessary, to deliver a solution. And we have over 25 years experience helping contractors run their businesses. All right, so today we're going to be talking about the JetTrac Field Service automation solution. And we developed JetTrac Field Service really for any kind of contractor that has field technicians that go out into the field to do their work. The solution consists of two parts: JetTrac Field Service, which is to help improve efficiency in the field, and JetTrac Job Master Pro, which helps improve efficiency in the office and run your office. We customize the solution for the specific type of contractors, whether they electrical contractors, plumbing, heating, and cooling contractors, HVAC contractors, underground storage tank contractors. Really doesn't matter. It'll work for all of them because we have custom material lists and price books and office tools that work specifically for that contractor. And we're going to be showing the office side of it today. And I think we're showing for an electrical contractor today, but it will work for any kind of contractor. In general, our customers tell us that most of them are still using paper, and that there's a lot of inefficiencies both in the field and in the office with the paper solution, and our solution addresses that. Some of the inefficiencies that our customers tell us about, whether they're using paper or some other kind of system, is that scheduling and dispatching can be a big problem for them. Knowing where their techs are out in the field and being able to juggle them around, that can be very inefficient and a bit of a problem. The fact that techs have to come into the office every morning to pick up their paperwork and drop it off in the evening can make things very inefficient. And the paperwork can be a problem in the sense that field techs often have to fill in the data in multiple areas, even if it's data that we know. Their handwriting can be a bit of a problem. They often leave data out. They have to take photos and keep those photos assembled with the document package, and that can be inefficient and a problem. If they've got to make calculations, they have to get a calculator, and there's often errors with that. And the paperwork, often gets completely lost and doesn't make it into the office. And when it does get to the office, the office staff have to rekey all of the data from that paperwork into the system there. If there's bad handwriting or they're not sure or something's missing, they've got to try and get hold of the field techs and go back and forth to figure all of that out, and that can be very inefficient. And then costing, pricing, and quoting, they tell us, can be a big problem, and I know our solution will address that. And then keeping price books up to date in these crazy times can be crazy and a big problem. Invoicing often takes a long time to go out, and then when a customer or somebody calls in, having to go and find a file to address that customer's issue can also be very inefficient. So in the field, we have JetTrac Field Service that works on really get a complete package of information out to the field technician that is pre-populated with all the information that we already have and know, and job history and things like that, making it very easy for them to do their job and complete the work in the field. The solution works on any mobile device and will use the input capabilities of that mobile device. So things like voice to text eliminate the bad handwriting, and our customers tell us that they get a much better quality of notes coming back from the field tech. It's also very simple to take photographs and signatures and keep them all together. If they need to collect on site, we have that capability. And your techs have the option of using a smart form, our smart form solution, which, so if they're used to filling in a form, we can keep the form looking very similar and make it easy for them to do it. And that's typically on a tablet, but if they want to use a smartphone, our smartphone interface allows them to easily use their smartphone to complete their work and fill in the form in the background. And the solution will work whether they're online or offline as well. And as soon as they get connected again, they can submit it back. And then in the office, and that's what we're going to be highlighting today, the JetTrac Job Master Pro module of the solution. That really works no matter what kind of jobs you do, whether you do flat rate jobs or whether time and material jobs, long-term or contract jobs, residential, commercial, really doesn't matter. We can work for that. The solution will work for that. Today, we're going to be focusing on the one-click processing of the data that comes back from the field technicians, and we'll show you how simple it is to do that and what it does. We'll also touch on price book management and keeping prices up to date. You know, we only have half an hour, so we'll do our best to get through as much as we can. But the Job Master Pro solution also makes it very easy to set up a customer, create a work order, and dispatch a job out to your field techs. With the calendar integration, the techs know exactly where they're going from their calendar, and with the shared calendar, you can easily see where all your field techs are in case you have to juggle them around and make changes. Job Master Pro also makes it costing, pricing, and quoting simple and helps you to stay profitable. If we don't get to all of this today, you can reach out to us, and we'll be happy to do a custom demonstration that covers everything. But with that being said, I'm going to move it over to Jim and Cindy to show you how you can improve that craziness in the office and de-stress the office. So I'm going to make Cindy the presenter and go from there.
Thank you, John.
All right.
So Jim is going to kind of do a quick overview of the Job Master Pro, and then we'll show the one-click processing of the mobile field sheet.
All right, thanks, Cindy. Well, we're going to take a little deep dive into Job Master Pro for a few minutes so that you can see what's actually going on in the office with this product. And like Cindy said, it does integrate with the JetTrac Field Service programs. So what I always like to do is start with our customers right here, customers. We'll click on the customer, and I've got one up here on the screen for us to look at, Alexandria Hotel. And all of the information about Alexandria is shown at the top of the screen, along with on the top right, we have the contact name, phone numbers, email, the essentials, along with a hot note about perhaps we've had problems in the past, they owe us some money. I can look right down below that in the 90 to 120 category. I can see one invoice, they owe us $6,480. So, you know, we've got some brief, real quick look at this customer as an overview. Now, if I want to get into any of the details about this customer, the design here is to have the little file tabs for this customer running across the center of the screen. As an example, if I click the Jobs tab, immediately I can see the jobs that are going on for this customer and whether or not they're open, which is a little green traffic light, or if they're closed, which is a red traffic light. And then within each of these jobs, we can track the different types of jobs that we're doing, such as this type of job is called a time and material. We could have an SV for service. This type of job is more of a commercial contract bid. So the idea here is you can manage any type of job, whether it's a short-term, mid-term, long-term job, whether or not you quote it and bid it, or the customer just calls you up and says, come on out and fix my blah, blah, whatever. So very unique that this product can handle both types of those situations. We'll come back to these jobs in just a couple of minutes. Right next to the job tab is the invoice tab. And again, the person in the office can take a look at anything, whether, you know, the paid invoices from the past is on the left. If the invoice is open on the right, they can look at that as well. Typically with the payments as well. Moving on. Yep. So if I did want to see an invoice per se, like this one right here, it looks like it's 117 days out. You know, you don't have to do anything more than just one click with the mouse and it'll bring it up for you here. This was just a progress bill, a very simple little invoice on a contract job. Obviously, you can do much more with detailed invoices as well, which we'll talk about. How long did it take these guys to pay us? You can see some of these payments down here. It's a very long time to pay, and that's why we have that red note saying slow payer, check with Tom. And let's look at their history before doing any more work. So I can click the history tab here, and I also got the history tab right up here. And so if I wanted to look at any particular notes about these guys, anything from slow pay to perhaps specially installed parts, such as we installed this compressor. We bought it from a vendor called Graybar, and the date that it was installed back in 2005. The system tracks all history parts, and you can customize the program to have those special parts available. And they're very handy when you have a service call and the contractor is on site. Now with a new mobile device, they can look at the history of this account and know exactly what's taken place in the past, from long-term job notes to specific parts that were installed. Besides that, we also have the estimate and the proposal for this customer. So as Alexandria Hotel, the proposal comes right over from the estimate, which we can show you in a minute. But essentially, the proposal right here shows what the scope of the work that we're going to do for them. You can have your logo up here in the top left if you want that, which is nice. Makes it look real pretty. And then when we come down to the bottom of the proposal, you can see exactly what the bottom part looks like right here. Spells out the dollars for them. You can have your terms in here. You can have many different types of terms, but it all automates together for you. And of course, then you also want to have your special legal notice about your guaranteed work and what's covered for workman's comp. All of that's customizable in the program as well for you. So again, I'm still just working with my single customer, Alexandria Hotel, but I've got estimates on file with them as well. Now, if I wanted to look at an estimate that we did, I just click the estimate. And the estimating program is so simple to learn, but it's very powerful because it does allow you to use the database of materials and bring an estimate together for you. And then it'll also break out your estimate into what we call phases. And those are totally customizable by you. Some people just have a rough-in phase and a finished phase. Others want to get deeper into the estimate and provide specific phases of the project, such as the building trim, maybe the office phase, as you can see right here. And then within each phase, we have what are called assemblies. So when you just type, I need 5 of these assemblies right here, the system will go out and calculate all of the costs and the length of the products that are included in the assembly for you. So the bottom line is you can customize this very simple to use steroid spreadsheet is what we call it. Anybody can learn it in about 5 minutes and they can be an estimator. And then when they're finished with their takeoff, they just simply come in and we work from cost up. So the pricing is a C for cost, and we're going to mark the materials up 50% and the labor is going to be marked up 28%. And we just click the calculate button and you can see right here, sometimes the the customer will say, well, give me a price on everything except the switchgear package. We may not go with that. So you could just calculate it that way, and the system will automatically calculate your estimate just like that and give you a new cost and a sell price. But then again, if you wanted the whole estimate done, you just simply recalc. And you can change your markup still, because estimators, it's kind of a science and an art when they are showing that. Okay, so at that point, this is where the integration would come in as well. You could just say, okay, go to proposal writer, create the proposal. And that would be one thing you could do. The other thing you could do is what we call turn this estimate into a job. What does that mean? That simply means, okay, the estimator, you're on the hook here. You came up with a budget of what this job's going to cost the company, and we're going to now turn it into a job. And when I did that already, so I'm going to go to the job and just show you the results of this particular job. The estimate was $825. You can see the budget came over right here. In other words, the material should cost us $8,376. The labor should cost us this much. And it should take our workers 182.70 hours to complete the project. That all came from that estimate spreadsheet. Just turns it right in. And then our total budget is $18,052. We sold it for $20,000. Must have been a real tight little bid. And we should make $2,610. Okay, great. That's what we agreed upon. The customer signed off on it. So now the actual costs on the project come into play. And this is where we automatically track those material and labor costs. And that can come from a variety of sources with the program. If the men are using the mobile product, they can record their hours, and some of the materials may come off of their truck, while other parts of the system from the accounts payable or the purchase orders would create the rest of the material costs that come to date. And so as the project moves on, the long-term project, then the system will track all these indicators down below here. In other words, you've got one invoice printed down below, it's unpaid. Your profit right now is you're a little bit behind. You're not making a ton of money at this point. We have retained dollars. We have a change order in place. The system is saying this is what you can bill for at any time, and you're over under. Oh, by the way, all these calculations that people try to emulate using multiple spreadsheets, which are very, very difficult to do. We put every calculation and every formula right here for you so that you can understand exactly what the system is doing for you automatically. The percent completed is 40%, and we bill for 34%. So actually we have more costs in on the project, and you can see that in the actual work in progress. We have $7,327 in costs, and we've only billed for $7,200, and they haven't even paid that $7,200 bill. So, you know, it's not going so well. Purchase order dollars that have come on the job, these little indicators, we can talk more about that at a later point in time. So that's just the job costing on this job. Again, if I wanted to look at the accounts receivable invoice that we did send out, again, it's a one-click deal. You can look at it right from the job perspective. Same with accounts payable. If I have a purchase order on file, I can see the vendor that we ordered the materials from, and that came right from the estimate too. So when I turn the estimate into a job, this material list came right over to the purchase order so that we can sell, we can purchase these items right from the vendors that we're using. We also have change orders. And you can see the change order that took place on this project as well. And we can talk about change orders, but they do affect your original job budget. And again, if I just wanted to bring it up, I could just say upgrade the fluorescence. And we had a little price on that, I do believe, down here. Yep, extra little $350. All right. So as well, if you have tools on the system, you may have the work orders are all tracked right here for this project. You can do permits. RFIs, it's just the proposals themselves. Everything integrates right here on this one job for you. And when we're talking about projects, everyone, you want to look at the detailed budget window, because that's where the real true work in progress reports are kicked off within the system. So you have what's called the original job budget, and I want you to just take a real quick look over here at the top row on the top right corner, where it shows the estimated hours that the estimator estimated. The actual hours that have come in, the guys using their phones and their tablets, those are the hours, and then the remaining hours that are left on the project. Well, you know what? When you have a meeting on Monday morning and you print out a work in progress report of your projects, this is one of the key areas that people will look at and say, okay, how many hours are remaining on that project? And my golly, if those actual hours are starting to exceed the estimated hours, oh boy, you got to get in there. You got to get somebody on that site and find out what the heck's going on, because it looks like we may be going over our budget, and we all know it's labor that can make or break profitability on these bigger projects. So with that being said, I think what I'm going to do now is get us back to the main menu, and we're going to have a little look at the price book, because this is a key element for this, especially on service and time and material jobs that you're doing. What we have in here in the price book is where you keep your materials. And these materials, if I just click on one of these recall names, it brings up a list. Now this happens to be an electrical contractor price list of materials, but that's very easy for anybody in the office. So when you get questions about, hey, what's the cost of a 1/2-inch EMT or something, you can see right now, oh yeah, okay, I can see that that's 76 cents a foot. All right, looks like we updated it on June 9th, 2002, so it's a good cost. And then we'll just bring it out and have a little deeper look at this piece of material, 1/2-inch EMT. If I look down here for my service billings, our cost is 76 cents. We have an internal markup on this particular item at 68%. So we're selling it to the average customer when we're doing a service call, time and material job. We're selling it for $1.29. The system automates all of that for us. When we do the estimate, we can have a different cost. Maybe we want to be a little bit more competitive when we're doing big projects, and we're going to come in a little bit lower so we can secure the estimate. And we also have what's called a labor unit, which we can talk about as well. In addition to this item, you can also track what we call the inventory of it. And a lot of our users are getting into tracking truck inventories as well as warehouse inventories. Why is that? Because they spend an awful lot of money on materials throughout the year, millions of dollars in some cases, and they want to make sure they're not losing money on materials. And this system tracks it right down for you. It's generally one of the last items that we work with people on once they get their system up and running. Okay, a little bit about that. So let's get back to that price book for a second. There's so many ways you can search for items, and that's important to people. So if you get somebody on the phone and says, well, how much is a yellow blah, 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 and you can't hear anything more than that, and you say, oh, it's a booster yellow. Okay, so just by typing anything that anybody asks you in the system, it will go out and find that item for you. You have 10 different search capabilities here, whether you want to search on your vendor part number, a UPC trade number, a vendor model number, and so forth. So any of these search capabilities, very, very powerful and very easy to use. Okay, so a lot of times people say, well, can you work with my local supplier, my local vendor? Yes, we certainly can. We have what's called a price update center service for you right here. So when you click this on, your particular suppliers that we can put in here for you, and then it's very easy for you to keep your materials up to date. How are you doing it now? Well, it's the old paper way that John was showing with all that paperwork and looking at vendor invoices that they send you and pricing, or going on their vendor websites and looking at pricing and then having to price out jobs that way. That's the old way. That's back, 20 years ago. We pioneered this particular product, and it's essentially you get your name of your vendor in here, and then you just click it on, and then it brings their name up here. Right now, they'll just send you a little file, and on the email, you just copy it into your program, load it, and then click update, and then the items get updated. Very simple to work, very easy to use. Okay, so it's a little bit about the price book, and there's also other things you can do in here with this item. A lot of times we're asked this question, we can buy this half-inch EMT from more than one vendor. Can we track multiple vendors? You sure can. So at any time, when you look up an item, your vendors will probably have different costs, what they're charging you for the item. So you can actually use any one of these when you're doing an estimate or when you're doing your service billings. Okay, beyond that, you can also price out the items for your customers. You may have really great customers that fall into an A list where they maybe get 10% off, and slow payers and would be on the E list where you control this as well. So when you're doing your billings, the system would automatically charge for items, higher or lower, depending upon the category that you want to set them in. It's got barcoding built into it. And we talked about the inventory. It's going to track the price history of your vendors, what they're charging you, how much of an item did you use. This is kind of nice too. It just tracks each customer that you use this particular item on, helps you negotiate with better pricing with your suppliers. It'll track the purchase orders that are attached to the item. So a little bit about the price book here for you. And essentially, I think I'll go back to the main menu. So we talked a little bit about customers, and we talked a little bit about jobs. I think Cindy's going to now work with the mobile and show you how it all is put together from the mobile standpoint.
All right. The mobile field sheet is probably our most popular mobile solution that we have. And the idea really is to take what the guys in the field are already doing, and that is recording what they did on the job. And so we came up with this idea several years ago, and so we're presenting the mobile field sheet to you now. So on the left side, we're seeing all the job and customer information, the job description of what the customer called to have us do, and the job notes, which includes, in this case, what ballast we used the last time we worked with that customer. Now that came from the customer history that Jim was showing you earlier. So on the mobile field sheet, each individual mobile field sheet can be custom made in Cobra based on the material parts that are normally used for different types of works that you do. So if you do T&M work, if you do commercial service work, if you do contract work, you may have different subsets of material items on each individual field sheet. So this is how it works. This was emailed out to my iPad, and I opened it up, and I'm going to use the bookmarks to navigate around the mobile field sheet. So starting with breakers, these headers came from the field sheet that we built in the JobMaster Pro. So each user can create their own customized headers the way they like to present their mobile field sheets to their techs. So when I touch on an individual section, it jumps to that section of the sheet. I can enter a quantity and fill this out really easily. So again, taking what techs are already doing and putting it on a mobile device. We also include the capability of doing what's called the tally. The tally sheet really was designed for the techs to ensure that they did not miss anything when recording 10, 20, 30, 40 items on a job. So the techs are the ones who asked for this. We thought it was a good idea, and we put it into the mobile field sheet. We also can take up to 8 different photos on a mobile field sheet. So if you think about all the reasons techs might take photos, it could be a liability issue that they're concerned about, could be before and after pictures, could be a receipt of an item that they had to go out and purchase to finish the job. It could be any number of things. So those can also be embedded in here. I think that's pretty clear. So the cover page is really where we end up putting our time. So you can see at the upper right, I put my time of 5 hours, and then I had a helper who worked for 2 hours. I clicked the completed checkbox under the hours so that my staff knows that this job is done. Go ahead and bill it out. With one click, you're going to see that in a minute. The tech notes. This is a really critical part of the communication between the techs in the office and your customers. And as John alluded to earlier, this is an area where techs, you know, they hate writing, they hate handwriting, they hate typing, but they're so smart. And so by allowing them to speak their tech notes in, which is what we did here, as you will see, that gets automatically included in with the job and potentially can be on any customer invoice. If we are collecting on site, we can collect a customer signature, we can calculate the job. Otherwise, we're just going to submit this back to the office. And it's on its way back to the office. So I'm going to turn over to my office computer and show you the one-click processing where we'll finish up here. So in the Job Center, this is where we can look for and import any mobile field sheet sent in from the field. So we're getting a list of all of them that we have not processed yet in this upper left list. So when we double click on one, you know, I have the job number, the customer, the job, you know, the tech notes, all of that, plus the labor and material that was on the mobile field sheet. I also can click the view log. This is really a vital part of this because the view log ensures that we don't miss any jobs that were sent out. You know, if they didn't come back into the office and the date received is not filled in on them, we know we need to contact that tech. So we could actually highlight a couple of these lines and click email technicians, and it would remind them that you did not receive the paperwork for those jobs yet. So all this technology is happening automatically behind the scenes, which is really powerful. Now, with this mobile field sheet displayed on the screen, I'm going to click my Post to Job button at the lower right. It's going to record all the material and labor, and it gives me my green go-ahead light. So I'm all done with that job, that one click. You can see that pictures were saved on this form. So let's see what that one click did. We'll bring up our job. You can see all of our job cost information. You can see the job notes. So on longer term jobs, if you have more than one person working on it or a job that's lasting several days, you'll get it in chronological order. Your job notes will keep growing so you can get an entire history of who did what, when on the job. And then at the right, if you want to keep these notes at the right, they will appear on the customer invoice. All the detail for any job comes into these material, labor, and direct screens. So we can actually get at all the detail from the mobile field sheet. We can edit anything if we need to, make any corrections, any changes. That's the material. Here's the labor that we saw on the mobile field sheet. The document center. Every time a mobile field sheet is sent in from the field, it is automatically stored in your document center. So if you need to refer to it down the road, it's at your fingertips. So exactly how the tech sent it in, you will have access to it here using Acrobat or Adobe. So it just takes a minute for it to activate it. We'll let that come up. Okay, so perhaps that's not working. Okay, so the last thing before we do an invoice, oh, there it is, okay. Okay, it's just not coming up on the screen apparently. There it is. Okay, sorry. All right, so there it is. There is the actual mobile field sheet sent in from the field. So if we need to refer to it for any reason or need to verify anything with the customer, it is there, accessible through your document center. And then before we do the invoice, we encourage our customers to use the profit preview, because this is a third way of catching any issues before we even do a bill on the job. This can be printed out or it can be viewed on screen, but essentially what it is doing is showing you all of the items that are ready for invoicing and the profit margin. You know, are you losing money on any parts? Was something missing? All of that is designed to help ensure that you're making the profit on any given job that you need to. Right down to the penny, right. So at this point, we could actually go and do a billing. And to finish up here, there are about 500 different ways of showing all the material and labor on an invoice. So whether you like to show detail or no detail, whether you need to show the guys' names or the dates they were working, all of that is available to you in the customizable format codes that we have available in the JobMaster Pro. So I'll just show a couple. So this is the same invoice. Even a paid invoice, we could reprint it, changing the format. So the JobMaster Pro really is designed soup to nuts to handle any type of job that a contractor does. And it is very detailed and includes a lot of the functionality that contractors around the country have been asking for many, many years. Yes, in addition, we also have integrated accounts payable, purchase order, general ledger, payroll, and tool and asset management system that all integrate with the JobMaster Pro. So you can start with just the core module, the JobMaster Pro, maybe just stay with that, or you can expand your system into all these other modules. So with that, I think, John, why don't we turn it back to you?
All right, thank you very much, Cindy. I know there's so much to show that it's very difficult to show all of it, but great job, and thank you very much. And you know, if there was anything that we didn't cover or that you want to see more in more depth, please contact us, and we can do a customized demo that shows you more specifically and in more detail some of the stuff. There's just so much in JobMaster Pro, as you could see, that it's very hard to cover in a short webinar. All right, so this concludes our 3 webinar series on JetTrac Field Service Automation. So we don't really have anything else scheduled at the moment, but if there's anything you want to see in webinars, if you let us know, we'll schedule those out, and we'll be scheduling more webinars in the future. And if you missed our past webinars, I will send out this slide deck to everybody that was on here, so you can very easily go and take a look at the past webinars. If you want to see the webinar on the overview webinar, or the webinar on the field, how we improve processes in the field, you can see that. And you can also watch our videos on YouTube that give us a high-level overview of that. All right, so really we established that with this JetTrac Field Service Automation solution, we're really making it a lot easier for the field techs to get their job done, and making it more efficient both in the field and in the office, and syncing the two together to really make sure you stay profitable, save time, save money, and actually drive revenue by hopefully doing an extra couple of jobs a week or a month with the efficiencies you gain using our solution. As I was mentioning, there's just so much more. So there's a lot of things that we just don't have time to show. And if there's other pieces of the solution, both out in the field and in the office. I know a big one that a lot of people are very interested in looking at is the certified payroll stuff that for union shops. We had a lot of people interested in that. But if there's anything that you didn't see, or that you see on these slides that you want more information on, please just reach out to us. We'll do future webinars on them, or we'll do a custom demo specifically for you guys. So with that said, thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Sorry we went a little long, but there's just so much to show that it's hard to squeeze it in. And if we have any questions, we will take them now. I'm not seeing any questions in the chat box. I'll give it a minute or two. I do see some people are starting to leave, but thanks everyone for coming. If you have questions, you can always reach out to me. Here's my contact information. Shoot me an email or give me a call, and we'll either answer those questions or schedule a customized demonstration for you. All right, I'm not seeing questions, so I'm going to say thanks everybody for coming, and look forward to working with you guys in the future.